So the Falcon and the Winter Soldier has been filming for a little while now, and there's been some set photo leaks, as you can predict with any Marvel TV show or film that comes out. And yes, we're going to be talking about them, so I just want to say that any of the set photos in this are owned by Disney. I'm only saying this so this video don't get taken down. So I'm just going to offer a quick plot detail about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The show is going to centre around the idea that the US government doesn't want Sam Wilson to be Captain America, and the US government decide, hey, we don't want the Falcon to be Captain America, he should be in the Avengers. Let's pick our own Captain America and have him as the face of the government. So the TV show Falcon and the Winter Soldier is also going to feature the debut of John Walker, aka the US Agent. To the best of my understanding, he's basically an imposter version of Captain America. And the set photos we've seen of John Walker in his US Agent suit look actually really cool. Another massive plot point in Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the return of Baron Zemo, who we haven't seen since Captain America Civil War, which came out over 3 years ago now. And Baron Zemo being in this film is pretty interesting, because if Marvel are willing to reuse another villain from one of their other films, this must be a very important plot point in the story. So our first set photo here from Just Jared shows our first look at Baron Zemo. Now, he isn't wearing his comic accurate mask, though we did actually see a reveal of that at either Comic-Con or D23, I can't remember. So Baron Zemo obviously is probably going to be the main big bad of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I doubt they would have John Walker as the main villain. I think he might be perhaps the side villain, and that would be interesting. However, I have an interesting theory that we'll get to later on, but right now let's look at the other set photos. So we now get our first look at Wyatt Russell, who's playing John Walker in his US Agent suit for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, one thing you may notice, one, the suit looks incredible, I love the design, but two, you may notice that the US Agent suit doesn't have the comic accurate colours, because in the comics the US Agent has black and red, not red and blue. However, there is a bit of black in there, and if you look at the set photo, you'll see that he's actually using Captain America's shield that Cap brought back and gave to Sam. So I'm assuming that the US government maybe confiscate the shield to give to John Walker, because apparently it's US government property, as Black Widow stated in Civil War. And after Captain America retired in Endgame, because he was an old man, the government would want to hire a new Captain America, because, well, they wouldn't want Bucky to be the new Captain America because he's a convicted terrorist. And number two, they probably wouldn't want Sam Wilson to be Captain America because the government is probably racist in this. And number three, it seems the government hasn't learned from the Winter Soldier, because it does seem like Baron Zemo is going to try and rebuild Hydra. Even though the Avengers just spent a long time trying to destroy any traces of Hydra in Age of Ultron. And they had actually succeeded in Age of Ultron. But I think Baron Zemo is going to try and possibly rebuild it. So now we get our first look at Bucky and Sam in costume on the set. Now, I don't know where this was filming, but it does seem pretty crucial to the plot, because in some of these other set photos set in the same location, we get the set photo of Baron Zemo, which we just talked about, and also apparently Sharon Carter shows up in this. So I'm thinking we might see sort of a small action scene with Bucky, Falcon, and Sharon Carter versus Baron Zemo and possibly US Agent, and then perhaps the series centres around Sam and Bucky trying to prove to the US government that US Agent is actually working with Baron Zemo. However, the government won't believe them because A, Bucky's a convicted terrorist, and Sam obviously assisted Captain America, who was a wanted fugitive in Civil War. Okay, one thing I want to note here is one, Bucky and Falcon both look really cool in costume, even though Falcon doesn't have his costume. Side note, apparently Falcon is getting a more comic-accurate version of his suit. A little more modernised, though. Just not going to be like a whole jumpsuit. It's just going to be a modernised version of his Falcon suit that we saw in the other films, but it's going to have the more comic-accurate colours to it, and comic-accurate design, but it's going to look a bit more modernised. Similar to what I hope they do for Arnim Zola, should he probably come back. So another thing I want to note here is, this action scene, if it is, does look pretty interesting. And we're going to move on to another one of the set photos that we see from the show. So I'm assuming this set photo takes place presumably after an action scene, with Bucky's jacket being unzipped and him and Sam looking a bit tired out. So I'm thinking this probably takes place after an action scene where Zemo shows up and fights Bucky and Falcon. With the US government not on Bucky and Falcon's side, I doubt the government would be able to believe Sam and Bucky, because as I mentioned, Bucky's a convicted terrorist and, well, Sam Wilson assisted a fugitive, so, yeah. Anyway, one thing to note is, Sharon Carter is in this set photo, which makes me think that perhaps she is also on an undercover mission, possibly sent by SWORD, which could connect it to Far From Home's post-credit scene, with Nick Fury teasing SWORD, which apparently is the new incarnation of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, of course, S.H.I.E.L.D. fell in The Winter Soldier, and presumably Fury has apparently been rebuilding it since then, because apparently Nick Fury has been a Skrull since Age of Ultron. And I find that very, very hard to believe. It seems like Marvel's trying to bullshit us with this. Anyway, I think Zemo is a very interesting villain for this, because he hasn't been seen since Civil War, and I'm assuming he's probably come up with some big master plan, and perhaps he's trying to get John Walker in place to be the new Captain America, so he can then betray the government. And I'm assuming Zemo somehow escaped captivity in some way, because at the end of Civil War, we see that he got captured by the government, and I am assuming that he did possibly escape somehow, whether it's by killing Everett Ross somehow, or injuring him. Well, I'm assuming that maybe Zemo possibly got out during that 5-year time jump in Endgame, assuming he probably wasn't snapped away by Thanos. Anyway, I think this would be a crucial point of the plot, because Zemo is possibly going to get the US agent to turn on the government, and then Bucky and Falcon presumably will have to spend the final episode probably taking down the US agent and Zemo. However, there is a couple episodes, because my theory is, before the final episode in this series, I'm assuming this is just the first season, the Bucky and Falcon are presumably going to have to fight off the US agent. Sam will then get his comic-accurate Captain America suit, possibly, and maybe the finale centers on them having to fight Zemo and take him down as well. Now, I don't think they'd actually kill off Zemo, because I think he would be an interesting villain for the MCU later down the line. And there's still a lot of stuff you could do with Zemo as a character, because this would be Zemo's second appearance since Civil War, and I think Marvel should use him a lot more. So that was the set photos. I want to provide my own possible theory on the US agent's role with Baron Zemo in this film. So my theory is that the US agent is working with Baron Zemo to possibly topple the US government, because, as Ultron once said, I'll tear them apart from the inside. I think Baron Zemo is possibly planting US agent as the new Captain America to overthrow the US government and tear them apart from the inside, because now US agent is the new Captain America on the inside of the government. I'll give that a minute to let it sink in. You good? Yeah. Anyway, with the US agent now implanted inside the government, Baron Zemo can use his sleeper agents in some way, if you will, to help overthrow the government, and with the US agent looking good in the government's eyes. Now, at some point, Bucky and Falcon, I think, could find out what Zemo and the US agent are doing, and I doubt the government would believe them, because, as I've mentioned a few times in this video, A, Bucky is a convicted terrorist and killed a lot of people, including Iron Man's parents, and B, Sam Wilson is presumably wanted for assisting a fugitive. And also, he did escape custody at the end of Civil War, so that's also something we need to consider. So those were my thoughts on the Falcon and Winter Soldier set photos. Did you guys particularly find any of this interesting? If you did, then I thank you for that. If you liked this video, then subscribe and comment. We're going to be doing a few more new things at the channel, and just to do a quick update here. So I don't normally do a lot of update videos at the end of actual videos, because I feel like a video should just stand out on its own. An update video would probably go on our social media page, but I feel like I should add this to the end of this video because it is actually pretty important. So we have had to say goodbye to a good friend of ours. I'm sorry to say this, but the Craftiverse podcast channel will not be continuing, I'm afraid. So I can't do anything about it now because all the videos are gone and the channel has been deleted. However, in place of that, we have replaced the Craftiverse channel with something I think you will really enjoy. We have decided to start a gaming channel, and I'll admit I am very excited to put gaming videos out on YouTube, even though I did some unofficial stuff on the main channel. But Crafting Bros Gaming is solely for gaming videos only. No other content like the stuff we do on the main channel will go up on there. So we'll only be putting gaming videos up on Crafting Bros Gaming. Anyway, you might have seen that we uploaded 3 parts of Batman the Telltale series. It was the first episode. We split it into 3 parts. However, I believe part 3 has come out already. Well, part 2 I think has come out already, and part 3 is probably scheduled for release at some point tomorrow. Anyway, I'm probably wrong about this, I can't necessarily remember, but I hope you enjoy the gaming channel, and let's bid a farewell to the Craftiverse. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.